Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Menasce. This is the weekend edition where we interview notable people from the world of real estate investing. Today is no exception. We have a great guest all the way from Rochester, New York. Welcome to the show, David Pelusio.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, great to have you here. Now, David, you're doing some interesting work in the world of storage, repurposing existing assets. Love to dive into the details, but maybe before we do, perhaps give a little bit of your backstory and how you got to this point in your journey.
Well, I've been in the business for about 55 years, been developed and ran all kinds of construction and office, hotels, shopping centers was my big thing. Fix and flips, multi-million-dollar ones in St. Pete. I like those because they're fun to do now. The small ones are old and boring at this point. I've just went back to doing a little renovating the big box stores. I ran retail flooring up and down the East Coast for many years. We did a lot of commercial, industrial flooring and kitchen and baths, which I've exited out of that business, left it with my family, and I was retired, and then I went back to developing mini storages. So I got quite a bit of experience in any type of development when it comes to construction goes.
Love it. It's no secret that a lot of the big box, many of the anchor stores that were attached to the traditional enclosed shopping malls, whether it's Macy's, JCPenney, a lot of that anchor real estate, sometimes even standalone real estate, has vanished from the market, and there's no real buyers. I mean, there's not that many Kmart big box stores that are being occupied by a new anchor, and so that either gets repurposed or it becomes blight in the community.
Right, and the ones I like is the ones that are in a small shopping center with a bunch of art parcels. If they got 4 or 5 art parcels, they're a gem because the art parcels are worth more separate than they are together, especially for investors that need 1031 exchanges. They're long-term leases. A lot of them are land leases. Most of them are national tenants. So that really puts a cherry on top of the vacant building that's behind it, which was maybe a Big Lots or a Joann Fabrics or whatever, a Toys R Us. And then they just can't convert that big box into retail stores because there's no tenant for it anymore.
Right.
And to make it into smaller stores is just too cost effective. It just doesn't make any sense to do that because normally they're deep. They might have a 200-300 foot frontage, but they're also 200-300 feet deep. And to try to get a 2,000 square foot store out of that is very, very costly. It's impossible almost. So it's a great product, and I think the window of opportunity is probably between 3 to 5 years, and those big boxes will be gone, either knocked down and redeveloped or converted into some other use, entertainment. Some of them are turning into like pickle courts and stuff like that. But I think the more profitable thing is the mini storage business, especially if you can drive in, have a climate control, unload your stuff and drive out the back. It seems to be very, very, very good as far as investment goes and very, very needed in a lot of communities.
Well, if you think about a floor plate that measures 300 by 300, I mean, gosh, that's almost 2 acres of land under one roof. That's a massive floor plate, and there aren't that many uses that lend themselves to that form factor.
No, that's what I like. That's what I'm looking for. I drive up and down the road finding them. Well, I mean, the concept is easy. The criteria is simple. You know, it's got the retail location.
Absolutely.
So you got the traffic. You usually have, because of that, you got the income and the housing. So a lot of your first initial criteria are already met. Now, the rest is going to be, is the zoning there and is the roof condition? Because, again, you're saying that massive 2 acres, that's a massive bill for a new roof. So you have to be concerned about that. But most of it is zoning. Some of the towns don't like the mixed use because they think of mini storages as those garage doors and hundreds of them. Well, this is all enclosed. They don't even see them. You see a couple of doors on the building to get in, and that's it. Signage, yeah, you have signage. Yes, you market it. And yes, it gets full.
At a certain point, though, it does come down to price because the price you would pay for retail space is not necessarily the same price you would pay for mini storage. You're going to be looking for a fairly substantial discount, certainly from a replacement cost standpoint, but even from an acquisition standpoint in order to make those numbers work.
Well, I always say it's what you buy it for. It's not what you sell it for.
Right.
You're going to buy these big boxes, right? You're going to buy them between the lowest end $30, the highest end, in my finding, is 60 to 90. Anything over that, the numbers don't work.
Right.
So if you stay within the $60 range, you couldn't build a building for 200 because it has the sprinkler system, it has all the site work done, it's got the bathrooms, it's got the electrical. You just got to modify it. You rectofit the interior with doors in the walls and the ceilings, and you're open in 90 days. I mean, it's that simple. It may require some moving of some of the power and the ductwork and stuff like that, but it's not a lot. You could, like I said, you couldn't build a building for the $200 a foot today's market price, but you got to buy. But the key is you buy it right. Once you buy it right, then selling is easy. You can sell it right.
Absolutely. Now, of course, it always comes down to the laws of supply and demand, making sure that there is demand in that location and making sure that you're not going to saturate the market, because then at a certain point you start competing with yourself when it comes to adding excess supply. What market characteristics are you looking for? Because if you think about most primary markets have already saturated with Class A. A lot of institutional monies come into storage. I would say that the opportunity lies certainly in secondary and tertiary markets, and maybe a little bit of Swiss cheese in some of the primary markets. But for the most part, those primary markets are saturated. Would you agree?
I do. And what we do is we do 3 different studies. We do 2 marketing studies. It does 2 separate groups that I use that tell me the competition, what they're getting, how much they're getting. The criteria nationwide, the big box or the institutions won't, the big boys, won't buy anything that is, or build anything that's per capita 8.8, 8.9 per square foot per person. And so there's 2 ways to accomplish that. One is you go in it where it's not zoned, but it's retail. And then you try to get it rezoned through hardship. The guy's owned it for a long time, can't rent it. Everybody knows it. Vacancy's been there forever. They're underwater with their mortgage in some cases, or going to be soon. They certainly don't meet the mortgage obligation as far as percentage of rent, or
debt coverage.
Debt coverage. But most of them aren't being called in, but that is a factor. We've got one now that's that case. It's in a market where the closest mini will be 3 miles is where they're zoned, 3 to 5 miles. So in lieu of that, the per capita is 2.2 versus 8.9 is the maximum. So we're in a great area ready to fulfill a need in a neighborhood that could use it, and it's going to be nice looking. It's going to be all interior. So it's not going to be an ugly warehouses. That's one area where you can find them. And if you want to go to your main Class A areas, if you go to your secondary markets, they're nice too, but you get in a shopping center with a bunch of 2 or 3 hour parcels. Even 1 hour parcel. It brings cash flow day one as you're developing, and then you can flip. We always subdivide the land, subdivide each parcel. Either sell it as a group or sell it separately, because we're not keeping them. We have a management company that comes in and manages the facility if we build it. That hasn't been the case. People have been buying them before I get them done, or before I even start, because of the idea of the location and the marketing study. That's what the work is. It's buying it right and finding if there's a need in that area for minis. So as soon as that criteria is hit, we're off and running to a good facility.
Now, if I think about a department store, you've probably got, I'll probably misquote the number, but let's say you've got about 1 parking space for every 300 square feet that you have under the roof. You don't need anywhere near that kind of parking for storage. How do you see that stranded asset of that gigantic parking lot as potentially another value that could be associated with doing something different on that land?
Well, let me explain to you. The one we just bought, and we have on the contract to sell before we even bought it, was 11 or 12 acres. The part that we're buying or bought was about 7 acres. The other part was a little hotel was sold off the land on the corner. There's a restaurant out front was sold off. It's an R parcel. You could add another R parcel on the property, as well as it had another R parcel next to the big building, which was a Napa Auto Parts national tenant. So the parking lots that could be used for additional R parcels, or as long as it takes too much of the visibility of depending on how it's shaped in the plaza. If it's got a lot of room in the back where nobody can see, then you could put the portable minis back there.
True.
The town doesn't mind those. And so if you can build, let's say 500 or 700 units in the big building, you could pick up another 100 or so in the back parking lot. And that's free land because there's nothing else to do with it. Or you could turn it into senior citizen housing back there. A lot of these towns need senior citizen, even the subsidized ones, and there's a lot of money out there for that. So, if depending on the shape of the plaza and the location in the town and the needs, there's a couple options with that parking lot.
When I think about the evolution of most cities in America, they started in the downtown core and then post Second World War sprawled out into the suburbs. And that created this band of real estate between the downtown core and the suburbs that has been neglected for, 30 to 50 years. That's where a lot of those retail plazas were located. And some of them are getting redeveloped, that band of real estate that's been neglected. And of course, if you're looking to develop in the core or in the urban area, there just isn't a lot of land because it's carved up in pieces that are too small. So those retail properties are perfect land assemblies because there's very few places where you can get 5, 7, 10 acres in the urban boundary any other way. So that could be another way of getting an extraordinary amount of value, even for residential.
Yes. Yeah, you just got to put your thinking cap on and figure out what you can do with that land. And the first thing is to subdivide and to get rid of the R parcels and get the income running with the minis. And then the second thing is, my focus would be, what do I do with the rest of the parking lot, which is kind of easy.
Love it. Well, David, if folks want to connect, if they want to learn more, what's the best way?
They can either call or they can email me at David Pelusio. Well, let's give you another email, David RLC at RLCone.com. That's my business email that I've been using forever, and that's the one I look at every day.
Fantastic.
So if they send me a note, I'll be more than happy. And even if they just want me to bounce an idea off and they want to get my opinion on something, I'm open for it. I'm not looking to make a deal with everybody. I'm past that stage. I'm here to have fun. Doing this for the grandkids. I'm not doing it for me.
I love it. Well, David, great to connect. And for the listeners at home, you definitely want to connect with Dave Pelusio. The email link will be in the show notes. And in the meantime, have an awesome rest of your weekend. Go make some great things happen. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.